A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope your weekend was well spent browsing the variety of plush luxury residences Exceptional Homes has to offer and gleaning insights from the speakers around the various themes that were covered during the webinar sessions. Now, we've heard industry experts give their insights on the investment landscape, sustainable living, architectural and interior designs, but now it's time to dive right into the up-and-coming prime districts in Singapore and explore the potential and appeal they hold. So to help us understand more about this, let's welcome a joint presentation by Mr. Lee Zi Teck, Senior Director of Research, and Benedict Chu, Senior District Director and Project Main IC for Huttons Asia. Now, a little more about our speakers today. Zi Teck is a much sought-after analyst and trainer who covers the residential, industrial, and office markets in Singapore. He's carried out feasibility studies, market studies, rental studies, development concept studies for developers, funds, and companies looking to invest in the property market. Presenting alongside Zi Teck, we have Benedict Chu. Now, with nearly 15 years of experience in real estate, Benedict's experience lies in mass and luxury market project management. He's also known for his distinct ability to read and analyze the market in the most logical way so that he can share advice and insights with buyers. So over to you, gentlemen, to enlighten us on the topic of new prime areas for luxury homes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today so-called where I will share about the new prime areas for luxury homes. I will also be joined by my colleagues, Mr. Benedict Chu. He will cover on a project in the new prime area for luxury homes. So before I start, this is the disclaimer itself. So we rely on government numbers, but where there are errors because of the source itself, we cannot be held responsible for the errors. So first thing, of course, when we start, you may ask is, where are the prime areas? What are the prime areas itself? This is a map that is actually prepared by the authorities, Urban Redevelopment Authority, URA. So over here, in market terms, the prime area is actually your core central region, and the core central region is made up of three places, which is in the three colors over here. You have the yellow, the pink, as well as the blue. The yellow one will be a district 9, 10, 11. Blue is your downtown core, which essentially people sort of understand it as like the CBD, but it's actually not the entire CBD in that sense. Then of course we have Sentosa. So today we are going to look more closely at only the yellow as well as the blue portion, because for Sentosa you do not have new land for you to build new homes already. So we will need to look at the yellow as well as the blue. So first thing off, we will look at supply in these areas, and then after that, of course, the demand, and then of course why we think that one of these areas is actually a new prime area for luxury home. First, District 9. The supply itself, the increase is not a lot. You can see from this chart here is that over the past 6 years, from 2015 until 2021, every year you need at about 319 units. That's pretty low. I will also show you District 10 is even worse. There's only 72 units, new completed homes every year at only 72 units. Even District 11, they add only 69 units per year. So if you take all in together, in this prime area where you have the so-called for lux home and all this, every year you're only adding about 400 plus, less than 500 units per year over the last 6 years itself. Why is that so? Firstly, we must understand that the availability of land in District 9, 10, 11 is limited to start with. They are quite so-called, most of the land are actually built into homes or for other usage already. So if you want to build more homes here, you will have to go to convince the existing owners of where they are staying actually to sell en bloc, or in the sense collective sale. But these are not easy. After all, if you want these people to move out of a prime area, where can they move to? They will have to find another prime area for them to move to and to stay there, because they are used to this area. So therein is the difficulty when you try to increase more supply of homes in this area. Therefore, when people want to come in, and there are always people who want to come into the prime area, District 9, 10, 11 to stay, because this is really seen as a prime district. And then when supply is so-called limited, that means that your prices is actually will be sustained and will be on the upward growth as well. If you look at the supply and demand dynamics itself in economics term. So in that aspect, not just the locals understand that the supply of homes is limited. Even foreigners know that the supply of homes in these prime districts are limited. Therefore, you have a lot of foreigners who like to buy in the prime district. And this sale here at the Mark at Patterson Hill, it has set the record for the in terms of highest in the on the per square foot basis, more than $6,800. I mean, it's close to 7,000 also. And till now, this record has not been broken yet. That was set in 2011, and that means 10 years down the road, the record still stands. Okay, and then the prime area like in District 9 usually your Ardmore, your Draycott area, whereas in District 10 usually in the Nassim area. So just now that one was also even though it's not in the super prime like your Ardmore, Draycott area, it is at Patterson, it fetched a record price also because of the value proposition of that product. Here at Ardmore, which is also in District 9, the Ardmore Draycott area, they also, another penthouse also sold for a record price itself, 51 million, and it's bought by Alibaba co-founder, you can read from here also. Then Sculptura Ardmore, again in the Ardmore area, also sold penthouse more than $60 million also, and this was actually done in 2017. Other things like other big so-called big purchase over here is New Futura. They sold 70% when in phase 2 they will launch itself. So again, this is also a large condo, and they sell at more than $3,500 per square foot. And this is again in the prime area. And then Boulevard 88 at the Orchard Boulevard area, also selling very well, and also at very high prices when they offer to the market itself. And then come back, you have another, and all these are arranged according to the so-called the date and the year that they are being done. So you can see that year in, year out, you have all these record deals being done in the Prime District 9, Prime District 10 itself, the Ardmore area, Patterson Hill, and this is also in Ardmore area as well. And then another one also, another Alibaba founder also come into the Prime District 9. This time it's not in the Ardmore area or even Patterson, they go into Cane Hill. Cane Hill is also another flavor among buyers who are looking for large home. And this is one of those that actually was sold for very high prices also. It's also a penthouse. And just recently at this newly launched project, the Maison at Nassim itself, so this is in District 10. Again, the 4-bedroom is good for 39. This is not just the so-called the record that I want to present to you. Then you also have this. This is a very unique deal where a Taiwanese family actually bought the whole project in one go. That means the whole unit in the Draycott area, Ardmore Draycott area. So, but of course, for some reason they cannot buy everything in one go. So they have to split the deal itself, which I will come to that later on. And then like I said just on the Maison Nassim, the penthouse just recently also, just 6 November, they sold for 75 million. And this 75 million is actually the most expensive penthouse that's actually being transacted. Even is higher than what was sold at Warwick Residence, where James Dyson actually bought that penthouse over there. So you can see all these people, the rich and all this, they coming in and then setting record prices in all these prime area for large home. So I tabulate a list of the most expensive home, 10 most expensive homes sold in Singapore. Of course, number 1 is Eden, but of course Eden is because the whole development is actually sold to one buyer. You may see how come here I only write 261 million. It's because it's actually split into 2 transactions. If one buyer buy the whole development, it's equivalent to like a foreigner buying land in Singapore. If that happens, then there are a lot of legal constraints and implications that they need to clear. So that's why they have sort of split the thing into 2. And the rest are what you see here, which I mentioned earlier. But you will see here is that some out of this, you can see all the district, all District 9, District 10. Then you have 2 in District 2. You may ask, how come we have this super luxury home in District 2? That is what we are coming to, because we think that the new downtown core area is going to be a new prime area for luxury home. Why do we say so? Let me show you, explain to you the reason why it's like this. So the supply of homes in the downtown core has increased tremendously. If you compare to what we see in District 9, 10, 11, where they only increase every year only like 500, close to 500 units. Over here, we have much more. Only in downtown core, we have almost 600 units in addition in a year. So over the period of 6 years, they add almost 80% of completed homes. And why did that happen? And I give you all a list of where all these projects are. First, the sale was the very first one of the big transformation project that took place in the downtown core. This is followed by the Creve, as well as this project at Marina Bay, and of course One Shenton. The year here refers to the year they offer to the market for sale. Okay, then you have Marina Bay Suites, 5 on Shenton, Warwick Residence, which James Dyson bought and sold the penthouse. Marina One. Marina One is actually the so-called the deal done between Temasek as well as the Sovereign Wealth Fund for Malaysia itself. One Bernam is currently uncompleted, and then you have a lot more over here that are potentially coming up itself in this part of downtown core. Of course, downtown core is quite far. This is just District 1 and 2 of downtown core. We will look at District 6 and 7 downtown core. We have Eden Residence, that was from 2022, 2012. And then, of course, others will be Door Residences, South Beach Residence, Midtown Bay, the M, Midtown Modern. So why do we have so developers coming into the downtown core to build so many homes? It's because of I would say one game-changing event, which is this in 2005. This actually changed a lot of things in Singapore. This game changer where the government decided that they will build integrated resorts in Singapore. Not just one, they're going to build 2. One at Marina Bay and the other, of course, in Sentosa itself. So Marina Bay here, of course, these pictures here, and in the forefront of Marina Bay, you can see that that is actually the Gardens by the Bay, the 2 conservatory over there. That is also another thing that should change a lot of the landscape in Singapore itself. The Gardens by the Bay also, in 2005, the government announced that they're going to build the Gardens by the Bay itself. And today, Gardens by the Bay is actually award-winning so-called destination people will come to visit Singapore for. And this is what you are going to see when you go to Gardens by the Bay with the super trees and the conservatory in the background. And this is just next to Marina Bay Sands, and the whole place is actually all transformed. And not only this, the government also at a point in time they decided that the Marina Bay is going to be a new financial district. And when they did that, award the land up to a developer, 3.55 hectares, and office space is about 3 million square feet. If you divide that 3 million square feet by about, say, 80 square feet per person, you're looking at something like close to 40,000 workers in the Marina Bay Financial Center itself. 40,000 is a lot of numbers. If let's say 20% or 30% are foreigners, you will be looking at 8,000 to 12,000 people who will need a place to stay. Where can they stay? That is the question. And we do not have a lot of homes in the downtown core for these aspects to actually stay in. So there is all these things that takes place from the resort that bring in economic growth, and all these Marina Bay Financial Center that bring in a lot of workers, create a lot of jobs and so on, and create the demand for homes. That's why when there is a shortage for homes in the downtown core, that's where developers seize the opportunity to actually build more homes in the downtown core itself. And the Marina Bay, the 24-bedroom penthouse is one of its kind, very hard to find in Singapore. 24-bedroom, of course, it's a combination of few units. They are offered for sale together. This was in 2021, February, together as a one unit itself for 130 million. That again, if it goes through, it will beat the record that what I showed you earlier, set at the Nassim area, which is sold for $75 million. And the other transformative project in the downtown core is actually South Beach. This is your Beach Road area. This is again an integrated development where you have office, hotels, and retail space, and even resi together. So all these things, and the super penthouse at South Beach fetched 26 million. So again, it works out to be quite close to $4,000 per square foot again. And Coco Tower, this is another project that actually transformed the whole Tanjong Pagar and the Shenton Way area, because that area, quite a number of office buildings are looking their age. So this project, integrated project that comes in, link direct to MRT, and then they have office, hotels, as well as retail space. It actually changed the whole landscape. And then now the whole Tanjong Pagar area is now very vibrant just because of this one single development. And then, of course, like what I mentioned earlier, Dyson fought up 73.8 for the penthouse at Wadi, but subsequently he actually sold it for about 62. And just a bit further away, just now what I mentioned, Midtown Modern, they sell this a very good sales figure on their first weekend launch. But what is not mentioned very big in the headline for this article is what boxed up in red below, is that the penthouse there sold for more than $4,000 per square foot. So you think of that, the $4,000 is at the price range of what you are actually getting in the prime district 9, 10, 11. Even it could be some higher than that. So therefore, buyers are also seeing this as a new prime area for luxury homes, not just because developer thinks that they should build and therefore buyers will come, but buyers are walking, speaking with whatever, putting their money in, okay, to buy this home in a downtown core. And another thing that is actually pushing, the government is also trying to push more live-in population, is that during the 2019, when they talk about the new master plan itself, they actually want to bring more people living in the city. So they have some of these schemes here to actually encourage developer to build more homes there. They call it this CBD incentive scheme. So this covered an Anson, Cecil Robinson. So it's essentially from the Tanjong Pagar all the way to Raffles. There are, of course, conditions that developer has to fulfill before that project can be considered for this CBD incentive scheme. Developers are quick actually to hop onto this scheme. Actually, not really developers, but rather the owners who actually want to sell en bloc, like for example, Maxwell House. They could possibly qualify for this CBD incentive scheme. So they sold actually at a slightly more than what they asked for, the reserve price. That was in May this year itself. And then later on in September, Marina View, which is a white site comprising of residential as well as hotel component, was awarded over 1.5 billion, which is pretty high price considering the current so-called environment that we are in with COVID and all these things itself. And then International Plaza, this is just beside Wadi. They have launched a collective sale in September also, $2.7 billion. It is the largest collective sale by amount launched ever. Okay, and this, if it really goes through, it's going to translate to a land price of about $2,100 per square foot. And that is again going to be a record price for land in the downtown core also. Even if you compare to transactions en bloc deals outside in the prime district, the price don't even come close to this $2,100 plus per square foot itself. So developers are really looking and they really see the opportunity, and buyers are also thinking the same thing, that the downtown core is going to be the next prime area for luxury home. That's why the demand are going into this area itself. And Fuji Xerox, of course, is undergoing redevelopment now. So CDL is going to build this into a mixed development comprising of residential, service apartment, and commercial. So this will be upcoming maybe in 2022, if not 2023. Not just Fuji Xerox, there is another project which I do not have much of the details now, which is the redevelopment of AXA Tower. That will be a mixed development with office as well as residential component within that. I think based on latest plan, it's about 268 lux unit in that development. So that could come out in 2022 or if not 2023 itself. So you can see over here is that the government is taking steps, and the private sector developer are also helping to actually transform the whole city center itself. Of course, this starts off with the game-changing event that the Singapore government took in 2004 when they decided that they want to have an integrated resort, and then when they call for a proposal, they actually award the integrated resort to two consortium in 2005, which was the Marina Bay Sands, and then of course Resort World at Sentosa itself. And then another was the decision actually to build the Gardens by the Bay in Marina South area. This is actually a prime area. The government could have choose not to build the gardens but use it for other commercial or residential use, but they choose to actually have the garden over there because that sort of change the whole city landscape and make the whole place a much more livable area for everybody, because there's activity that you can do after office hours. If not, a lot of the city center after office hour is actually so-called dead, lack of activities. Then another event the government has undertaken was to build this Marina Bay Financial Center in the new Marina area, because by doing this piece of transformative work, this actually brings in a lot of workers there and therefore drives that demand for homes. And of course, the eventual is that developers will have to build more homes to cater to this demand, these people who actually wants to rent homes near their workplace itself. Then we have also South Beach, another transformative project that changed the whole so-called this area itself. This is actually at the City Hall, very close to the Beach Road area also. And then the other was actually Walik, the integrated Walik residence, the integrated development at above the Tanjong Pagar MRT. Again, it changed the whole landscape, the impression people have for Tanjong Pagar, and now making this more desirable, a more desirable place for people to live in. And of course, the other is that further down into the Beach Road, Middle Road area is this development called the Guokou Midtown, and this is going to again change the whole face of the Middle Road, the Beach Road area as well, because it's going to bring in residential with office component as well and other things, and all integrated. And just opposite this Guokou Midtown is also their project called Midtown Modern, which is directly integrated to the MRT station. So these are the small little things that the public sector from government are putting in place to transform the city center, and the developments that the private sector are putting in again to transform the whole city center to make it into a place that is very livable, so that there are and buyers will come in, and this actually is transformed and become a new prime area for luxury homes itself. And really the buyers are coming in to look at all this, not just the foreigners, even the local buyers are taking a look at the downtown core itself. Not just that they just want to rent it out, but it's also as a place to stay in. And just of course, the government is also going to build HDB flats also in the city center as well. So thereby all this will actually put more population into the city center and make this a very livable and good place for homes. So I will hand this over actually to Benedict, who actually touched on this project called One Bernam, which is actually in the Tanjong Pagar area in the downtown core, the upcoming area itself. He will share with you why One Bernam is such a compelling buy. He will touch more on things like what I shared earlier, the CBD incentive scheme, and also share on the Greater Southern Waterfront and some other aspects about One Bernam. Okay, over to you, Benedict.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benedict, Senior District Director and Project IC for One Bernam. And first and foremost, thank you, my colleague Sutik, for sharing some insights on the new prime areas for luxury home. Next, today I'm going to share with you a little bit on One Bernam, but before I go on, some disclaimer. Of course, on our part, we have done our due diligence to present to you, do up the reports and all this for today's presentation. But of course, as a buyer, you're advised to do your own due diligence as well. Okay, coming straight to the point, I think there are many reasons why people buy property. Some are buying for investment, some are buying for own stay. It could be looking for capital appreciation, or even rental yield. Some all kind of reasons. But today we're going to target on why One Bernam is actually one of the interesting things that you might want to look into in 2021. Okay, before we begin, recent news. Okay, recently we've seen a lot of HDB upgraders buying condos as resale flat prices rises. Okay, so recently maybe because of the increasing cost and timeline and all that, so more and more HDB upgraders are actually buying into condos. So this is definitely One Bernam is definitely one of those that they are considering as well. Other things being new private home market to end on a high note, says analysis. Partly because supply has been generally quite low in 2021, where demand continues to be quite high. Okay, so this is one of the primary reason why demand supply. We have to look in all this to look at whether this is actually a good buy. So why buy One Burnham? Okay, the interesting question is actually why buy One Burnham? What is One Burnham? So is it even worth it or not? We can come in to look at this development from a various angle, from investment angle and later much from an own stay angle. From an investment angle, we would really want to look at things like, for example, whether the demand supply is it high or not, whether you have a first mover advantage, and other government injection that will make a difference in terms of your purchase, and whether this whole place itself, if you are coming for investment, is there high rentability, high resale transaction to assure your appreciation in future. Okay, starting from here. This is what I always felt. For investment, I think it's quite important to look at supply versus demand. One of the very interesting thing that I find out in the Prime District, primarily District 1, 2, 7, 9, 10, and 11, these are the Prime District. District 2 actually have quite a low supply. I have a lot of buyers coming to feedback to me, hey, District 2, a lot of developments in this area, is it going to be too competitive? But actually, if you dissect the number, it is not. There's only 3,458 units at the time that we are talking now. Uncompleted, there's only 1,224. That brings the total to 4,682. If a buyer comes to me and say that, there are a lot of developments in this area, but then the numbers only show 4,682, that goes to show the supply is extremely low. What a lot of people did not realize that what they are looking at is actually a lot of offices, grade A offices around the whole area. So this is something that you really want to look into, because when the supply remains low, we don't need that exponential demand to bring in like additional potential buyer or bring in the additional tenants to rent back into this whole area. So this is one big advantage of investing into Prime District 2. Next, is that first mover advantage. Okay, 2022 is going to be quite an exciting year with a lot of potential en bloc, a lot of potential redevelopment in Prime District 2. Some of the developments that we'll be looking at will be things like Realty Center, Fuji Xerox, AXA Tower, ABI Center, Anson Center. International Plaza also recently hit the news for being one of the very high price, potential en bloc development that's going to come up. So One Burnham being the first one to go first, actually has a huge first mover advantage. The last development that was launched or TOP down there has been quite a while already. So really in the recent years, there is really not much of a contest. So these are some of the things that you want to look at, whether an area has new developments coming up that will set new benchmark price in the area or not. Next, we just talked about International Plaza. So International Plaza came out in the news very, very recently, 1st November. It was mentioned that they failed to get URAs not for CBD incentive scheme. Don't get it wrong, some people only read the headline. Actually, International Plaza has a 19.24 plot ratio, which means that they're going to build very, very high. And this is going to be a mixed development. And the price tag for this development is actually the reserve price is actually 2.7 billion. So this is not going to be a low-end development. It's probably going to be a high-end mixed development, very, very tall building. So the question everybody should be answering. I'm sorry if let's say end of the day I give you more questions than answer, but what everybody should be looking at the end of the day is International Plaza going to be more expensive than One Burnham? Next, we also have a very recent news, November 15, 2021. This is about AXA Tower. So this is another development that's going to come out in the area. It's stated down here, okay. It has a gross floor ratio, 847,808 square feet. And then 268 apartments and 100 hotel rooms. This could potentially be what's going to be coming up, the newer supply in this area. So the question, look at the building on the side down here. So what kind of price tag is it going to come up? Is it going to be lower than our price tag? So we covered supply and demand. Okay, basically, if you're looking to buy for investment, I think supply demand factor is actually very important. I reiterate again, if the supply is actually very low, we do not need the exponential demand, regardless whether is it resale buyer or is it potential tenants. Basically, supply to begin with in this area is already very low. Next, we are looking at a little bit on the government's injection into this area. In this area, there's this thing called CBD incentive scheme. This is part and parcel of the government's plans to rejuvenate our CBD. Okay, so we have a CBD incentive scheme. Okay, the scheme itself, they identify a few areas like, for example, Ansel, Cecil Street, Robinson Road, Shenton Way, and Tanjong Pagar. So One Burnham is actually located in Tanjong Pagar. So this whole idea is to actually increase the plot ratio for selected developments, certain areas, by 25 to 35% in terms of gross plot ratio. So this gives developers incentive to tear down the building and actually rebuild them into something even more exciting. So some of the plot ratio that I've seen increase can be like from 10.4 to 12.6, that kind of thing. So this is what is happening. Why is government suddenly rejuvenating this area? I think it's actually long overdue. The other part of it is called a strategic development incentive scheme. This one is more like an ad hoc basis that developer of certain buildings, they can actually apply. Certain buildings, we mean buildings that are actually more than 20 years old. So this one will include areas like Orchard Road CBD, again, where we are, and then Marina Center as well. So the government is actually, in short, upping their plot ratio to incentivize and developers to come in, big developers to come in and redevelop and make the whole area even more exciting. This is their scheme to actually rejuvenate the area itself. Next, URA's vision for a dynamic Anson precinct. Just for you to know, we are actually located within the Anson precinct itself. So URA states that they are actually trying to create a more dynamic 24/7 downtown, a mixed use and lively after office hour. So they do know, currently after office hour might not be so exciting, but they desperately need to actually rejuvenate the whole area to make it not only just an attractive place to work, but also a very vibrant place to live and play in. In fact, in 2019, our National Day rally, our Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong did mention they are trying to create a place where live near where you work and work near where you live. So this is one of URA's vision to create a dynamic Anson precinct. And they are also going to do it through a car light system, okay? That means heading into 2021, 2022, we are no longer looking at expanding roads to accommodate more vehicles. Rather, they are actually creating more car light schemes, like, for example, expanding cycling paths and actually expanding pedestrian network. So to create more people, to create opportunity for more people to walk on the ground. So it's only through more people walking on the ground, then you are able to come up with this live, work, and play, this kind of vibrancy. And then another thing that you want to take note is one of the URA's vision is to have all developments in downtown within 10 minutes walk of an MRT station. So later we'll touch on how many MRT stations we are near to, but this is the scheme. So in short, there's a lot of a rejuvenation effort by the Singapore government into our CBD, in particular into the Anson precinct itself. So being able to move into this development in advance of everything that is going to come up later does present you with a huge first mover advantage. Next, Greater Southern Waterfront. We hear so much talk about this Greater Southern Waterfront. I must say it's going to be something very, very exciting. Sometimes I even wonder to myself, what is the end product going to look like in the Greater Southern Waterfront? This development, this change is going to be 6 times the size of Marina. So when we go Marina area, we think that Marina, wow, is so big, it's so grand, it's so beautiful. This is going to be a 6 times the size of a Marina transformation. And they're going to be done in phases starting from Perspanjang all the way to Keppel and then Mount Faber. And then, of course, eventually, right in front here, if you see the arrow, over here all the way. Okay, we actually, One Burnham is somewhere around where my arrow is actually pointing. We are just right in front of the Greater Southern Waterfront. So this one is going to be very, very exciting. And given our efficiency of our Singapore government, I'm actually anticipating very much what kind of injection is going to come into this whole area itself. Next, Sentosa Brani Master Plan. Again, we are somewhere around here, just in front of Brani and Sentosa. It's stated that they want to complete in 2022, but of course, then again, because of the pandemic and all these things are actually moving a little bit, the timeline changed a little bit, but nevertheless, just imagine this, Sentosa Brani have their own master plan. So what happens is they're going to create a bigger downtown resort. So NTUC has come in to mention that they would like to take up the challenge to actually remodel Brani Island. So we are looking forward. Existing Sentosa already got Universal Studio, all the resort and all this is already very exciting. I'm sure a lot of potential owners and tenants will be really, looking forward to staying very near to this new downtown resort. So again, this presents to the buyer who, enter earlier a first mover advantage as well. Okay, coming back, we touched on government injection in terms of CBD incentive scheme, Greater Southern Waterfront, even the Brani Sentosa master plan itself. Some of the government direct injection into this area to make it actually a more viable place for live, work, and play. So now, as mentioned, we are talking about investment point of view. One of the key factors that people are looking is whether, it makes sense to even buy here, comparable to resale transaction. I have buyers who are looking at One Burnham, but also at the same time, open to looking at resale transaction. So just point out here, you can look at over here, one bedroom in Altes is going for about 1.165. The price differential between our One Burnham and the resale transaction is actually not very big. Not very big. It's expected that brand new development is supposed to sell higher price than the resale development. I mean, that's the reason why people are buying brand new development. So the price gap in CCR, in particular Tanjong Pagar, seems to be quite close. So that really enticed a lot of people to look at buying One Burnham actually as an investment vehicle. And if you can see from this picture down here, we are in fact surrounded by a lot of grade A offices. These are all your potential pool of tenants as well. All the buildings that you're looking at around here basically are not many of them are actually residential. Most of them, in fact, are offices. So resale transaction from 2005 till date, general price of a D2 has increased constantly at a steady rate from 326 per square foot in 2005 up to 1945 in the Q3 2021. That is a 496.6% increment in the last 15 years. So you can see we have a very beautiful graph, very consistent going up. And imagine, even at this point, okay, Q3 2021, the government is actually putting new injection in this area. We are not leaving anything to the market forces. Government is still injecting new ideas, new transformation into this area. We are expecting price to continue to increase, probably at a more even steady rate. Next, rental. Okay, so many of you all are looking. Interestingly, D2 is actually an area a lot of people are looking to buy for investment, to rent it out. So I have come across many buyers buy to rent. So how interesting is this? A quick look at the rental figures. Altes completed in 2014, one bedroom renting out 3,009. I do have one bedroom in One Burnham going at about 1.3 million. So we are talking about 3% in terms of rental yield. And this is in comparison with an older development. So we leave it up to you, end of the day, to expect, because we're going to fast forward TOP probably in another 3 years' time. So what kind of rental yield by then the market will be? And a quick look at the transaction itself, some straight to the point. In Q4 2020, D2 transacted a total of 441 units, averaging 147 units per month for the 3 months ending 2020. So this is actually very, very healthy rental in the area. Granted that this 147 units per month, or rather the 41 units for the 3 months, is in an area where there's only 4,000 over units in total supply. So this is a good high percentage as well. So you can actually see for yourself how highly rentable the area is. Jumping straight into the project, One Burnham is actually located in One Burnham. It's a 99 leasehold development, extensive 41,400 square feet land. This is actually a mixed development. So we have first floor and second floor being commercial, consisting of retail as well as restaurants. On level 3, we have 13 units of service apartment, and then of course on top of level 4 is the landscape. Later I'll share more with you. Level 5 onwards, you'll be seeing 351 units of condo eligible for purchase. Okay, some quick facts. We're going to run through this architect, DP architect. DP is also the landscape architect as well. And then we have China Ting being the construction, very experienced construction main contractor. So unit mix, we have all kinds of sizes from one bedroom all the way up to a penthouse. In fact, a super penthouse at 4,300 square feet. But quick run, one bedroom starts from 441 square feet over here. We have 452, 463. Okay, very good size, very generous size. Some of these one bedrooms, in fact, all of these one bedrooms do not have balcony. So these are considered quite good size. Quickly run through numbers. We're not going to go through all this, but rather I show you the pictures to give you a better feel of how the facility is going to add up to. Okay, recreation facilities. Later we'll touch more on all this. And something to highlight, additional items down here. Basically, the whole development is laid with marble, regardless whether you're going for 1, 2, or the super penthouse. So countertop, engineered stone and all this. These are all very high quality finishing within the development itself. Okay, go straight to the point. Early on I mentioned one bit, I throw out a question, how many MRT do you think we are actually surrounded by? Within 1 kilometer, we are looking at 4 MRT stations, 6 different MRT lines. So really, how many developments in the market actually have so many MRT lines surrounding you within 1 kilometer? But yeah, the next question you posed to me, actually, how close is the closest MRT? Within plus minus about 350 to 400 meters, we actually have Tanjong Pagar MRT. This is actually the Green Line, a very, very important MRT line in Singapore. Many people are investing. In fact, some investors only choose developments along the Green Line. The next one is actually within 300 meters plus minus there, about Prince Edward MRT. This one is actually the Circle Line, upcoming Circle Line in 2025. Circle Line has become very, very important because basically they connect every single other MRT line, which makes it one of the very much sought after MRT line by investors. Then, of course, when we say full spectrum of mature amenities, we are talking about a development in an area where there is like a wet market, dry market, food court, 4 supermarket, countless eateries. Okay, those who have gone to Tanjong Pagar, countless literally to the come extent, a lot of cafes, and of course, even minutes drive to CT and AYE. So, development that's really, really strategically located with full spectrum of amenities, and we have not even count other things that's around that area after the 1 kilometer. And then basically the whole building itself, very quick run through. It's a 35-story building. 35 is the penthouse. We have a sky deck on level 34. Later we touch more on that. Residential unit starts 40 meters above the ground. So even at level 5, okay, our so-called level 5 is actually 40 meters above the ground. So it does consist of service apartment, commercial, basement parking as well. Okay, quick run through. One thing to highlight on this slide down here, our 34-story sky deck is basically 130 meters above the ground already. This is actually quite high above the ground. And then, okay, a quick look at the facade. Beautiful design. Okay, very, very different from the usual design in the area itself. But we are not the kind of building with a lot of like a metal structure, you know, very gray color, a lot of glass, that kind of thing, but rather a more earthly tone. So that's going to be quite interesting. And if you notice, this is the kind of image that we're going to recreate in the area. So over here, you can see these 2 pathways. So there's going to be like a 224-hour through block link within the development itself. This is to encourage more people to walk on the ground, so to create that vibrancy. And not forgetting, we are actually a mixed development, so more people are expected to walk through the development and then in fact enjoy the restaurants and the retail in that area as well. So coming straight, next one is actually about the facilities that we have. We are subdivided into like, for example, wellness, lifestyle, botanic collection, and actually active lifestyle as well. Okay, a quick run through. 36 meter swimming pool by 12 meter. This is probably on my right, on this arrow pointing here. This is all the active deck. We have a clubhouse down there as well. Flank on these 2 corners beside the pool, we also have the pool pavilion. This side is more of the landscaping. But what is to highlight over this corner, number 14 here, we actually have a gourmet function room. Okay, very interesting. Nowadays, a lot of people like to have their own private dining experience. That is definitely one place that you want to look into. Okay, a quick look at all the run through of beautiful facilities that we have. I'm not going to stay too long on each picture. Okay, these are the spa corner. Okay, these are some of the lobby gourmet areas that we have. Okay, very quick run through. And then, of course, 34 level. 34 level, a lot of facilities are actually on top. We have the Tatami Garden, we have the Sky Lounge, we have the Sky Hammock Garden, we have the Sky Fitness. Sky Fitness, imagine just now I mentioned to you, 130 meters on the ground. So you'll be running your treadmill on top of the sky, literally. And then I just want to highlight the Sky Lounge itself. This is very interesting, 130 meters above the ground. This will be like a high, sky dining experience if you actually book this to entertain your friends and all that. And in fact, number 27, you see number 27 at this corner down here, this number here, actually is like a balcony space that you can actually walk out to enjoy the very beautiful view. This angle out, you'll be looking towards the Marina Bay Sands, looking towards the Sentosa direction. Further pictures. Okay, residential, straightforward, 4 leaves. Okay, penthouse. These are some, we have 3 show flats unit. We have the 1-bedroom, we have the 2 plus study, and then we have the 3 plus 3-bedroom premium units down there with the private lift. So these are the showroom units. Okay, and quickly run through the fittings. Okay, basically all the units will come fitted with marble finishing, and these are some of the brands that you'll be seeing in the unit itself. Okay, so a quick run through summary. So we already know that it's definitely a development in the low supply area with first mover advantage, a lot of government injection in terms of a CBD incentive scheme, Greater Southern Waterfront, and we also show that it's an area with a high rentability. On this slide is some of the pricing. You might want to look at it. So we are coming to the end of the presentation. So I want to thank everybody for listening to us. Once again, thank you.